Hi, I'm Mia Friedman, and welcome to No Filter. This week's episode is one that you have been waiting for a long time, because this week I'm finally releasing my third and final interview in the 3-part No Filter Daddo series. Yes, I've talked to Cameron Daddo, I've talked to Alison Bray Daddo, and now, this week, Mamma Mia's own in-house Daddo, whose story is one that's going to surprise you. This week, you get to hear from self-described normal man, Andrew Daddo. A lot of you will know Andrew from our parenting podcast, This Glorious Mess, and if you do listen to that podcast, you'll know the dad side of Daddo. He puts the dad in Daddo. Do you get it? Isn't that funny? But did you know that he had an identical twin? Yes, yet another Daddo. By the time I finish this sentence, there will no doubt be more Daddos for me to interview. Because Andrew is in fact one of 5 kids. Older sister Belinda, older brother Cameron, twin brother Jamie, and younger brother Lockie. He is also a writer and author of 27 books, an actor, a speaker, a presenter, a host, and the voice of RBT, the reality show about random breath testing. So what was life like inside the famous Daddo household growing up? How did he wind up in the jungle for I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here? And how easy is it to write a children's book? Here's Andrew. Welcome to an interview with Alison Bray's brother-in-law.
There you go. Well, now I've never been introduced that way before.
It's never too late.
No, first time.
For more indignity.
Yeah. No.
How are you, friend?
Good. Very well.
Good. How does it feel being interviewed?
I don't
Are you a bit nervous?
mind it. No, I don't get nervous.
Yeah.
I don't know the questions,
No,
so I don't know where we're going.
I don't give questions in advance.
No, fair enough. And so
because I don't know what they're going to be.
Right, that's how I work as well. So just listen. So I'd probably take my own advice if I speak to someone else and say, just listen to the questions.
Yeah.
And then answer the questions.
Listen to the questions. First one's an easy one. How do you describe yourself?
Now,
Yeah.
like on a passport form. On a passport form, I'd write writer, author, because I like the sound of it, and I am one. But in real life, father, husband, knockabout father, man, normal man. That would be me.
Andrew Daddo, normal man.
No, I think fairly normal, old school, old-fashioned. What do they call that? Rose-coloured glasses guy.
You're a bit of a slashy though, aren't you?
In Speedos, generally.
Generally. You're a slashy though. You're a writer / author / TV presenter / podcast host.
Yeah. Well, you have to be. Well, I think to survive in the entertainment industry, which is what we work in, you have to do many things. Because I've tried to do one thing and then that falls apart, then you've got to find the next thing. So as long as you've got something going half the time, you're a chance at actually to be working.
What's your favourite of the things that you do?
I like writing. I like to start a book and I like to finish a book. I don't necessarily like the middle of doing a book. I love most aspects of doing the golf show. Like yesterday I filmed with Usman Khawaja, who's an Australian cricketer, and that was fantastic. And we both sort of stopped at one point and said, imagine if we could just play golf and not talk about it. So we don't want to talk about it. We just want to play. But because you're doing a TV show, you've got to
talk while you're playing.
So, I actually like all of it. I like speaking. I'd rather be a speaker than a professional MC, because I like the way they rock star in and go, yeah, how you going, mate? G'day. And then they do their talk and then they leave and you say, okay. And then you introduce the next person. You think, well, that would be better.
Keynoting is always easier than
Keynoting, yeah. But then,
it's quicker too.
It's quicker. I'm there for 3 days. You're there for an hour and a half.
Yeah. You grew up with 5. There were 5 of you. What was life like in the Daddo house, and where did you fit in the 5?
So I'm the middle. I'm the technical middle. I'm a twin brother. But so it's my sister Bindi, then Cam, then me and Jamie. We're 7 minutes apart, and then Lockie. So it's 2 years, 2 years, 3 years to Lockie. 2 years, 2 years, 7 minutes, 3 years. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Did you suffer from middle child syndrome?
No, I'm not the middle child.
But you just said I'm technically the middle twin.
I am the middle child, but being a twin makes us not the middle children.
Because you're special, because you've
we're
got
special.
the twinness.
Yeah, and so Mum's often said, she said, now you boys got less attention than everyone else because you had each other to look after yourselves. So we'd be left, I mean, it was good. It was in a good way, not a bad way. Although we had a babysitter once who left us, and when Mum came home from somewhere, we'd eaten the lead paint off it. She just left us in our cot together, and we just ate the paint off the cot. And it was old, it's like whatever, 40 years ago, no, 50 years ago. So it was lead paint. That's why I'm probably a bit loopy. Jamie is as well. So we think that Cam's probably the true middle child of the family.
Okay, because Lockie's the baby.
He's the youngest.
You're twins. Then you've got the eldest who's also a girl.
Yeah.
And so Cam's
that
really...
would make him the middle child.
Yeah. That would make him the middle child. What kind of twins were you and Jamie? Were you, firstly, were you identical twins?
Yeah, identical twins, very close, complemented each other. So he was probably better at sports. He was harder, he's tougher, stronger. And I truly believe that family is a genuine community, so everyone has a role to play within a family, and when one person leaves, then someone else will fill that role. So there'll be a joker, there'll be a serious person, there'll be a moralist and an ethicist, and that role sort of moves. So
who tells everyone to stack the dishwasher.
Stack the dishwasher, yeah. There's a suck, so I was probably the suckiest one in the family. I got called a suck more than anyone else.
You were the good boy.
I was a good boy, yeah. Yeah, I think they'd all agree with that. Like Nancy Boyd, our babysitter, when there was a problem, she was Scottish. Was she Irish? Nancy Boyd, Andrew. So she would come to me and say, so we had a fireplace. This in Mount Eliza. So we had a fireplace and it had a pit in the bottom, and the coals, when they were cold, would then go down underneath the house, and then you'd scoop them up and take them. It was just one of those things. It wasn't
like
fancy.
Something out of Oliver Twist.
Yeah, exactly, right? This is in Mount Eliza. And so, but it was normal. Anyway, she went to go to bed after looking after us, and the grate was open. So she didn't go to Cam, who was older, or Bindi, who was older again. She came to me, and I'm like 11. She goes, Andrew, the grate's open. You have to go down with a hose. You have to hose the... So that was my job, I think.
Was it fun being part of a gang? I'm always so envious of a lot of siblings.
Well, what did you have?
I've got one brother who's 7 years older, so
okay.
I'm kind of almost an only child in many ways.
Yeah.
You were a real gang, you guys, right?
Yeah, it was fun going out when we were older. So we'd go to Redheads in South Melbourne, and we'd all go together.
But there'd always be someone to play with.
Fight with, play with, argue with,
wrestle with,
remonstrate with, get us a cup of tea.
Where were the allegiances among the children?
It's such a good question.
And how have they changed?
Well, Jamie and I were always aligned. So Cam and Lockie were probably aligned. Bindi was the oldest girl, so she was probably...
Who was her favourite?
Don't know. Don't know now. Don't know then. Simon Clements, her boyfriend, was probably a favourite. She'd bring a boyfriend home, and we'd just wind them up mercilessly. So they'd come and have dinner, and we were cruel, we were actually mean, which we thought was hilarious.
What would you do?
I just pose questions to them, sort them out, give it to them, try and humiliate them at the table, see how they'd go. It's teenage boys.
And what was your parents' parenting style?
Dad was actually quite strict. And he's the son of Dad's the son of a good gentleman, like a proper gentleman. So Dad's...
What do you mean?
Well, no, of an old-fashioned, pork pie hat, and a true gentleman. So Dad's moral fibre is incredibly strong. His sense of right is definitely strong. So that was instilled upon us. And Mum... And worked. So he'd go to work at 6:37, come home at 7:38.
What did he do?
Pharmaceutical company. Mm-hmm. So he started off as the office boy and worked his way up to general manager, and then we moved to America, and then that went pear-shaped, and then got another job. So he's a worker. He's a proper old-fashioned worker. Mum would make dinner, and his would be in the oven with a saucepan lid on top of it, and he'd eat it when he got home. And
so she didn't work outside the house?
No. Stay-at-home mum. And then when we got older, then she became a naturopath and did that for a while, and, you know, a colour therapist. So she's like a witch.
wow.
She's a good witch, you know, a white witch. Like
So
a
your
proper
dad
white
was
witch.
science with pharmaceuticals, and she was
Or
the
Dad
other
was,
side.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, so Dad was grounded, corporate, and Mum was ethereal, witchy poo. It's a really interesting way to grow up.
You know how often you find yourself parenting in similar ways to your parents, whether you like it or not.
Yes.
Or you say, I don't want to be anything like that, and you actively parent the opposite way.
Yes.
What are you like as a dad compared to how your dad was?
Well, I'm probably vaguely similar to Dad. I mean, look, if you ask my kids, they'd go, "Guys, grumpy, yeah, yells,
Grumpy old man.
yeah, Dad." Like when they impersonate me, they go, "Oh, Felix." I go, I do not speak that way. And they go, oh, you speak that way all the time. I go, no, I don't speak that way. Like, I see myself as a loving, caring, but I definitely see the thing where they need discipline, and they need to be told that there's a right way and a wrong way to do something. And sometimes if your car is accelerating with purpose towards something else, it's okay to go, stop!
Do you mean that as a metaphor or literally your car?
I mean, literally, if the car is going, or if even metaphorically, you know, if something's going, there are moments where you just have to, you know, it's okay to get in trouble.
It's okay to be the bad cop sometimes. Like, are you always the bad cop?
No. But it's also okay to get in trouble.
Yeah.
See, like there's a whole generation possibly who think it's not okay to get in trouble. Don't speak to me, you know. No, I don't. You must be valued. And everyone is valued. Like I
know,
adore my family.
All my kids get really offended when they get in trouble.
Yeah.
Like wounded.
Yeah. And you go, hang on a second. Yes, it is. You want to say it's not personal. It actually is personal, but by the same token, how are you going to grow up to be able to face it? When you go to work and someone says that's not how you do it, you go, don't speak to me that way. Stop you bullying me. No, I'm sorry, I'm not bullying you. I'm just saying I've been doing this for, you know, say you, for instance, and you've got an intern comes in and they want to write for you and you say, no, okay, listen, there's a thing called a paragraph, right? And the third time you say it, and then you might get agitated. That's fine. Is that not fine?
It's not fine really anymore.
Right.
I think that's really true. I think that we're probably raising, and I include myself among this generation of parents that are raising a generation of kids who can't handle criticism and who can't handle feedback unless it's positive.
Yeah.
And need a constant stream of positive feedback.
Yeah. But I'm lucky in that my wife will counter my, you know. So the other day we're coming home from somewhere, and so we've got an 18-year-old. He's got a license. He's got a car. You know, like it's a shit box, but at least he's got a car, and which he paid half for. And there's something about dinner, and I said to our youngest one, Jasper, I said, look, get takeaway, but can't you go and tap your brother on the shoulder and say to him, can we go down the street and we'll order it, or you order it, you pick it up. By the time we get home, it'll all be there for all of us. And Jackie goes, oh, don't worry, we'll get it all. So she counters my, what would that be? What would she count as my, not aggressive, but
we have that argument all the time, and then I'll say, oh, don't worry, I'll sort it, and then Jace will go, oh, thanks for having, you know, we're meant to be a team, like, thanks, you've just made me into the bad guy.
Yeah, thanks for backing me up.
Yeah,
but I think that actually works well, because when there's a point where, you know, you really have to make a point. Okay, guys, this is called, it's a broom. It's called a broom. Right? Where's his boss? Jackie will look at me and go, God, why don't you just do it yourself? Okay, why can't I learn how to? So and this is normal, right? So when I go and talk in schools, and there's a point I'll want to get to talking to school kids, and I'll say, what's the one thing your parents said to you more than anything else? And 9 times out of 10 it is tidy your room, which is the answer that I want them to say, so I can tell whatever story. Some kids go, I love you. I go, that's nice, but I don't care.
Oh, that's my kids.
I know, that's our kids as well.
My room's messier than theirs, probably.
Yeah.
How did you and Jackie meet?
Well, I saw her on the TV, and she saw me on the TV. So I was doing a music show. No, I know, it sounds pathetic. So, and then So she says she's gone, and I was doing this thing called The Factory. I had long hair and it was a music. She was great. It was just a great show.
Was it like Countdown?
Yeah, it was
The
after
Factory.
Countdown,
Yeah.
with Alex Paps. So Alex Paps was like a god, right, with a mullet. And so he'd come down from Home and Away on a Friday night to film on the Saturday or the whatever. And so she saw that, and then I saw her on a commercial, and I've gone, I'd love to meet her. And she's gone, I wouldn't mind meeting him. And then we're at this place, and I was playing pinball, and then this 20 cents came onto the machine. I've turned around, it was her. I nearly died, like I literally nearly died. And I went, g'day. And so we were sort of talking for a while. 2 days before, my dog had been hit by a car that I was in the country.
Hang on, you ran over your own dog?
No, someone else was driving, and the dog's running beside the car. It was just bad. The whole thing was bad.
Did the dog die?
No.
Oh.
So the dog was at home. And so we're chatting away. This is the first night I met her. We're chatting away, and then and I said, listen, I've got to go home because I've got to check on my dog. And she's gone, okay, fine. Seriously? Okay, bye. And I didn't see her again for a year. 6 months or a year. No, she's gone to be wiped for the excuse of going home to look after you.
Well, that was before mobile phones and exchanging digits and...
Yeah.
Wow.
So she just went, wow, how rude.
Smooth move.
Smooth. And I'm going, but even in retrospect, I sort of look back and then she said, you know, it was actually quite a nice thing to do, but didn't think it was
So then
real.
you had no way of finding her again?
No, I found her eventually. Had to ring her up. Hi, how you going? G'day, it's Andrew Daddo. I went to her parents' place for dinner. It was good. It was normal. It was a good old-fashioned, normal, you know...
Courtship.
Yeah, it was good.
So she was a model. You were a TV presenter.
Yeah. Just buying into all the stereotypes.
Yeah, really. How many of your siblings were in the entertainment industry by that stage?
Just Cam. So Cam, he must have been doing Perfect Match or gone and done that and left already. And then Lockie hadn't started. So I was at 18. No, I must have, well, hang on, what was I? Must have been 19, 20.
Because Cam was only, 21 when he was doing Perfect Match? He was super young.
Yes. And he only did it for a year.
Yeah. It's kind of the definitive thing in so many people's minds about him.
I'm not sure if it was only, he said that the other day, it was only a year. I went, couldn't have been a year. Because it was so big.
I remember when I was researching him, it's a lot less time than it seemed. But I think he made a big impact. Like he was the heartthrob dreamboat. What was that like growing up when he became famous and everyone wanted to have sex with him?
Well, I remember it's funny you say that.
Was it just me?
No. I remember going to...
It wasn't just me.
I went to a disco with him. He was just doing a disco. I don't know if they still do disco appearances? Do the soapy stars and everything? Nightclub appearances.
Yeah, they do.
So I did one of those at Sweethearts in Parramatta, right, in a stretch limousine. I was staying at his place in Whale Beach, I think it was. So we get this limo out there, which was just bizarre. Like, you know, I'm going, oh my, like it was amazing. Like, amazing.
Yeah.
It was like a rock star. And then we go to the thing, he goes, oh, I've got to go to the toilet before we leave. He goes to the toilet. Some girl comes in swinging, going and, you know, offering him herself upon the plinth of Cameron. You know, it was all, I'm just going, oh my God.
And you were only about 18.
Yeah, I just went, wow, it's bizarre. And then we go into the car and there's, you know, girls around the car. Like it was weird.
And so did you get benefits from that?
No, I've never had any of that ever.
Right.
It's never ever been like, you know.
So it wasn't sloppy seconds.
No. Actually, no. If he was the rock star, I was more your working class television presenter, right? So he was, and he really was, like he was something else. But I was just like a normal working jobber. What we call it, a jobbing presenter.
Yeah.
So, like, even when I did MTV in America, it was just, I didn't go to parties, I didn't go to the openings of things, I just did my job, go home.
How did you get into the entertainment industry?
Through Cam. He finished his kids' show to do Perfect Match, and he said, oh, you should, he said to Ian Fairweather, who is the doyen of children's television, he said, you should get Andrew and get him to fill in, do my job, which I did. And then they was starting a new show called Ridgy Didge with Jared someone. And he said, do you want to throw your hat in for it? I went, oh, I don't know, I'm not sure, don't know. And then eventually I did, and he said, look, I'm saying no, because if you really wanted to do it, you would have said yes. So I went back to university and got my degree and then started this show on the ABC.
There were so many iconic kids shows in the 70s and 80s when we were growing up. I mean, from Simon Townsend's Wonderworld to the Curiosity Show.
Yeah.
Richie
Well, that was Ian
Rich.
Fairweather,
Ah.
I think.
Well, I can't think of a single one now. Now kids are just on YouTube.
Well, yeah.
We sound like old people, but
No,
it's
we
true.
are. No, I know.
That was a real thing of the people that were on afternoon shows. And I suppose Perfect Match has become Who Wants to Be a Millionaire and, you know.
But so we watched Survivor last night.
I watched a little bit with my daughter
Yeah,
as well.
which we really like Survivor, but that's pretty much the only commercial television we watch. And then we're sort of channel surfing around something, and then there's Carl's show the same time
Next year.
You know, I'm watching going.
Or Gogglebox sometimes.
Yeah, I don't. This is why we don't watch commercial telly. Not for shows. The ads. It's like relentless and it's bright and it's why wouldn't you watch what you want to watch when you can watch it?
So how did you come to be on I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here? Because I think you and I were talking about you doing This Glorious Mess, and I was talking to you and saying, we're going to do this podcast. I can't even remember why I thought of you. I knew you were a dad, but I just liked your energy. I just thought you'd be a good mix with Holly. And we were talking, and it was towards the end of the year, and you said, I've just got a couple of things on and I'm going away shortly or something like that. And then the next thing I knew, you were walking into the jungle.
What's he doing in there?
And I'm like, that's where he is. How did that come about?
They asked, and I just didn't have much on. I had a period where literally...
Does that mean you needed the money?
Oh, the money would have helped.
Yeah.
Money was part of it. But I had nothing on, or I had a couple of things on that I could move. And then I go, all right, they're going to pay you this much cash, and it hadn't been done before. Had thought about it a lot, and went because it's a first series. So the rule of thumb is first series is if you're going to do one, you might as well do the first series. I wish
first
it
series
wasn't
of
called
Big Brother, first series of MasterChef. You can think of all those contestants and none of the ones since.
Yeah. And wasn't even for that reason. The rules haven't sort of been set. People don't know how it works. So the contestants don't know how it works. The producers are probably going to make mistakes. You know, they'll do things a certain way and then realise for the next series, we'll definitely do.
But at the same time, you really didn't know what you were. On the downside, you really didn't know what you were signing up for.
Yeah, and that was the other reason to do it. To go, okay, well, so how old was I? I was probably pretty close to turning 50, so probably 48. I'm never going to get that chance again. No one's ever going to go, let's get you.
Except for next season. If you'd have said no the first time, they probably would have come back and asked you again the second time.
But then it's the second series.
I see.
So you've got the one shot to do that. And you know, like, I'm realistic. No one's going to get me to do many reality type programs. So in for a penny, in for a pound. And it was hard.
What was your decision-making process? Because surely you wanted to know who else was going to be there.
Yeah, did we know?
I can't imagine they would have told you, or they told you a couple.
Oh, we knew a couple from the press. And so Cleary. Cleary?
Who?
What's his...
Shannon Cleary? No.
Joel Creasy.
Joel Creasy.
Oh, my God. See how quickly?
You just spent all that time with him in the jungle and you've forgotten his name.
Yeah. Well, you know, I see people I've known for 20 years and I go, I once introduced Jackie I said to someone, and this is Kathy.
Your own wife?
My own wife. And she looked at me, and her sister's name was Kathy. We just spent 2 days with her, and she just looked at me and went, really? And I just went, oh, my God. I'm so sorry. She's going, who's Kathy? Oh, your sister? She goes, I'm not my sister. I know you're not your sister. Like, you know, what?
Oh, that's a whole other can of worms, isn't it?
It was funny.
So Joel Creasy you knew was going to be on it.
So I've looked him up, right? And I've gone, oh, no, acerbic. Funny, dangerous.
Millennial.
You know, going, geez. And then there's someone else. And then when I actually got there at the airport in Johannesburg, I was met at the gate, and there's a guy with my name, Andrew Daddo, Datto, and I've gone, I think that's me. And I said, are you busy? And he goes, yeah. He goes, lots of people coming in. He goes, yeah. And then he gave me a piece of paper with all the people on the show.
But he wasn't meant to do that, right?
God, no. So I've just gone, right, okay, Barry Hall, Murph Hughes. You know, so I get straight to the hotel. I Google everyone. I look them all up. I get the, all right, so now I know what I'm dealing with.
That must have been a big advantage.
Well, there's no advantage, but it just prepared me.
Well, psychologically. I don't mean,
slightly.
Were you in it to win? Did you win?
And I would have if I was popular.
Who won? That person whose name you can't remember.
Did Barry win? Oh, no, Eddie Flintoff.
Freddie Flintoff.
Eddie Flintoff. Oh, my God.
Kathy won.
Yeah, Kathy won. Well done, Kathy. Yeah, Freddie won. And he should have won because he played the game the best.
What was your
it's a game.
What was your lowest moment in the jungle?
Just getting there.
What do you mean getting there?
No, it was lowest moment. Sitting in the river with Barry Hall, realising I literally had nothing to say, and he literally had nothing to say back. So you're sitting there just going, I was void of thought, like I'd got paper by cutting the laminates. They sent things in on laminates, right? So I'd rip the laminates in half. I'd sharpen bits of wood. I'd burn the wood so I'd have a coal on the end of it. So I made a pencil. So I'd sit there and try and write things. No, you have no idea how boring it is. It's like relentlessly.
I know, it looks incredibly boring.
And then multiply that by 10 or 15.
And with no screens.
Nothing.
And nothing to do.
Oh, no, I don't care about the screens. You can have the screens. You can really have the screens. I was thinking about that this morning. Just see people at bus stops going, and no one's looking up. Like, you could be there. You could be a single person ready to go, life, and literally your life partner walks straight past and you wouldn't even, and you're sitting there going, Instagram, it's terrible. I mean, I know people read newspapers and books and things like that in the past, but you wouldn't stand there at a bus stop with a paper for the whole time, or maybe you would.
No, you would, but today I had to walk a few blocks to get to a meeting, and I worked all the way.
Yeah, well, that's
looking at my phone.
Sucks.
And
you're
in some
annoying.
ways it was handy because it was efficient, but I was annoying because I probably bumped into people.
And you're walking slowly, and
then I
people are
got
trying
there.
to get past you.
I was quite disoriented when I got there because it was like, how did I even get here?
So
it's not good.
Not good. Put them down.
So you're bored in the jungle.
Bored. So I literally had no thought. I mean, I couldn't, I'm sitting there. I did write a nice idea, I think, called My Cousin Merv, based on Merv Hughes, about, when your cousin comes to stay with you and you've got some loser cousin. I'm not saying Merv's a loser, but Merv was that highly energetic and sort of annoying
person.
Well, enthusiastic and until he was sad. And when he was sad, the whole camp got sad because Merv had to be sad. It was interesting. So
is there a lot of pressure to say from the producers to okay, so we're going to put you in the river. Can you just talk about something? Can you talk about the other people in the camp?
No, that all happened in the box up at the walkie-talkie.
The diary room.
The diary room. Yeah, well, they just ask you inane questions, imagine being an Australian athlete and you finish your test match or something and they ask you stupid questions. It was like that. It was inane. And then I remember I spoke to the psychologist because I had a problem with. Every time there was a big argument, I wanted to solve the argument because I just can't stand.
Conflict.
I'm an anti-conflict person. So I'd go, are we going to be remembered for being the dickheads who couldn't work out? So this is what I'd say to everyone. They'd go, yeah, okay, good point. And he said, because they're going to use this bit so come on, guys, let's be bigger and let's be better human beings. And what a wanker. So I asked for help. I said, I want to see the psychologist. And they said, no, psychologist, she's not here today. So we sorted whatever the problem was. And then the next day she said, I hear you wanted to see me. Oh, no, did you want to see me yesterday? I said, yeah. She said, well, I was there. And so they didn't, so they withheld. And I went, and then I just went,
Playing mind
okay,
games.
The whole time. Yeah. I didn't like the singlets. So I said, can I get T-shirts instead? I know that sounds really petty. But, you like T-shirts or and they said, oh, no, your contract says, you didn't say in your contract T-shirts.
Oh, God.
So, and then, so your level of paranoia, because you've got a Fitbit with a heart monitor or whatever. So I've gone back to
to make sure you don't die?
Well, this is the whole thing. You don't know what anything's for. Oh. So it was really interesting from that point of view. So I go back to the thing and I laid down. I was furious that it had got to this point. And so I'm sure they're going, watch him.
He's going to blow.
Batshit, right? So he's going to go batshit crazy now. So I just lay down on my my bed, closed my eyes, took the Fitbit off in case there was some level of monitoring going on, and then just stayed there for, an hour and a half. It went, okay, and thought about, right, focus yourself, son. Let's go. Don't do anything stupid because it's a great chance to do something catastrophically stupid. You know, abuse someone,
Because you
yell at
forget,
someone.
I imagine you forget the cameras are even around pretty quickly.
Yeah, well, if you don't think, you'd forget. So you got to be careful. So it was interesting from that point of view. It was a really interesting challenge. I remember coming out and I'd lost, 15 kilos or something, and sort of went to this, nice hotel and sort of took my clothes off and looked at myself in the mirror and then, look at a hairy 14-year-old boy, with the guts. I just went, oh my God, like all muscle, everything was gone. It was just this, wow. Anyway, it's interesting.
How old were you when Jamie had his accident?
18.
I didn't realise you were so young. So it was around the time you got into the entertainment industry. Cameron was flying high.
Yeah.
As Mr.
Oh no, he hadn't. No, I don't think Cam had yet. So he'd gone. I think he was in Japan when it happened. It was grand final night. Essendon had won. It was a really interesting night actually. Essendon had won the grand final, so and there was a big party on, and so Jamie went to the party. I didn't go I went to my girlfriend's house. I broke up with my long-term girlfriend that night for whatever reason. So we weren't together. Not that we didn't stick together and do everything at the same time. And then I remember getting home that night and early, and then just being woken up by Dad, and he said, "Oh, look, there's been and I thought we'd won lotto, or so, because the fire was on, the lights were on. It was like like why else would? So something good's happened, but it was obviously something not so good.
What had happened to Jamie?
He crossed one half of the road, so double 2 lanes each way. Got halfway across, spoke to someone, turned to come back, didn't look when he came back. Lights had turned green and just got hit. So, and there was a doctor 3 cars behind, and so it was just one of those perfect storm. And then he was unconscious or in a coma for 4.5, 5 months. And then it was months, and then it was another year in hospital after. So you did. So the whole thing is, you hear about people who get hurt, but it's a long process from a critical injury, even a serious injury, that we sort of forget about. So it was not great.
You were obviously an identical twin.
Mm.
Did you feel it?
No.
How did it feel when he was unconscious? Like, did it feel?
Oh, look, I mean, it's catastrophic. I mean, you see your other half sitting there with tubes, and he looked fine. He was actually, there was no scars. There's no, he wasn't bashed up or anything. There's nothing broken, I don't think. I mean, probably broke his pelvis or an arm or something, but that wasn't, he just looking at him on the bed, that's how he was. Looked normal and strong. Like, he was strong, and he was a
because you're big guys, all of you.
But he was very big, powerful, young man.
In the prime.
Prime.
How long till you knew he was going to be okay?
Oh, you never know. So, I mean...
So were you told to come and say goodbye?
Yeah, there was a period... Oh, there must have been 2 weeks where... And it was interesting because the family sort of split where half of us were saying, look, it will just die, that's fine. And the other half going, no, live at all costs, which is a really interesting thing to go through within a family, because then you're not having that discussion, because you can't say to, I can't say to Dad, oh, look, if he goes, because that's just catastrophic for Dad. Mm. And then it's almost unworkable. The fact that and back then there was no help. There was we talked to Dad about it the other day, and a social worker came in and talked to them once, burst into tears, said, "I can't do this. I can't. I'm so sorry for you. I can't do this," and left. And that was it. Oh, so that was that. So Mum and Dad, so they must have been in they weren't 50. They're mid-40s. So Dad's in his prime, working, earning, and it's just, how do you do it? We've got what were we, 18? Lockie was 15. Cam's overseas. Bindy's living in North Melbourne. It's just this weird... And then life goes on. And life actually just goes on. And people see and they go, how's your brother? And you go, yeah, still in a coma. And they go, oh. And even now people say, oh, you're a twin? I go, yeah. What's your twin do? And I go, well, he's an artist. How come we never see him? Well, he's an artist. Well, look, he had an accident when he was 18. He's hit by a car and he's in a wheelchair and he's got a head injury. But he's married, and you can see them dying inside going, oh, God, I can't believe. But what are you meant to do? How are you meant to say to them? I mean, it's part of life. If you have 5 kids, if you have 4 kids, you've got a 25% chance of losing one or having one catastrophically injured. That's the numbers. So, but you can't just go. So I feel terrible when people say, where's your Woodsy? And they're usually pissed. Where's your brother? And then you tell them,
and they feel bad.
And they walk off going, oh, God. But it's fine to ask.
And how do you feel about it?
I feel bad for making them feel bad.
Yeah.
I don't want to make anyone feel bad unless they're a turd. If you're a turd, I don't mind making you feel bad. But if they're just asking a good, normal question, it's fine. But it's a reality. It's like someone's got a handicapped brother or a Down syndrome sister or something. Do you meant to pretend they don't exist? Or do you try and spread the knowledge that this is what's out there and it's fine and, you're lucky to not have that maybe, but we might be lucky to have that. I mean, we're lucky to have Jamie, certainly.
When did the extent of his injuries become clear?
Look, honestly, it's ongoing. Like, just in terms of, like, a head injury is, so it's a head injury. So his speech is affected. His legs don't work very well. His left arm is frozen. His head injuries, there's a thing with, you'll have, not anger issue, like you'll be quick to fire.
Mood, the inability to control your moods and your emotions.
Yeah. No, I mean, maybe. I don't know. I mean, and look, to be honest with you, I haven't actually looked into it that far. I have looked sometimes, but then there's nothing I can do. So even in understanding it, I understand how he works, but I don't, it's sort of easy to just get along the way you get along. And I think this is probably how we are, is we just get along the way you get along with it. I don't need to know everything about it. I just need to know how to deal with it.
Did your relationship with him change?
Oh, yeah, it has to. I mean, I went away. I went and moved to America. Not when I was 22 or 23. I remember thinking, this is a terrible thing to do. But I think I also had to go and have some time away and,
Did you feel guilty?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I live in Sydney now. I feel guilty enough about that. Like, they're all in Melbourne. Jackie and I talk about it. Her parents are in Melbourne. My parents are in Melbourne. We go, they go, do you think you'll ever move back? I'm like, why? God, we're near the beach.
Jamie's in Melbourne.
Yeah.
But Locke and Bindy's in Melbourne.
No, we're all in Sydney.
Lockie as well.
Four kids in Sydney.
And now Cameron is back as well.
Yeah, Cam's back, yeah. And Chubb's in, but he's fine. Like, well, he's, it would be easier if someone else was there, but then you go, well, we're pretty selfish.
He's a good artist.
He's a very good artist.
How did that happen?
Well, he'd painted before at school, and then part of therapy is they use artist therapy to get things, which is interesting, that whole psychological thing where he started the very dark paintings and slowly the light came into it, and there it was, same thing. Like, it literally stayed, the paintings were black, and then they slowly, and you just went, oh wow, that cliche is true. That, like most cliches are.
How do you guys communicate?
No, he can talk. He's fine. He can.
But do you text? Do you talk on the phone?
Talk on the phone, but his phone's pretty crap. He doesn't have a mobile phone, so there's no texting or email. But probably talk every couple of weeks. So. Did you expect him to get married? No, I mean, who would marry him? Not for that reason, just the human being. And his wife's amazing. Just
How did he meet his wife?
South Melbourne Market. She saw him, he saw her across the thing. He was selling his paintings, and that was it, apparently. And they just had their 12th year anniversary.
Have they got kids?
No. I don't. No. I'm just trying to figure out who can or can't.
Right.
That was what I was trying to figure out.
I thought you were going to just go, I don't think they do. Hang on, let me think about it.
Look, they've got two dogs and a cat, and that's enough, to be honest. And they inherited the cat from somewhere. It's one of those super, super oversized cats. It's never been outside. It had never been outside before, so they haven't let it out. It's just.
I heard you say on This Glorious Mess one time that you shot Cameron accidentally.
No, I shot Lockie.
Oh, you shot Lockie.
And it wasn't accidentally.
Oh.
Well, because we were playing.
Tell me about that.
We were playing Ned Kelly in the bush with air rifles. So you shoot each other. That's the game.
Yeah, that's my kid's dream. My youngest, that would be his dream. Just
That
having
was-
brothers to
It was just
shoot
so
in
much
the
fun.
bush.
It was like so much fun. Like,
Yeah.
we
Was
did
he
all
badly injured?
No, it was a little pellet. It was a pellet. But he was younger. Like, so he must have been 10, right? So in that fleshy part above the
You love handles,
your love handles.
except you don't have them as a kid, but where they would be.
Well, no, if you're 10, 12, 11, 9, you know. And anyway, so it was there, and I've, like that.
Ooh.
Got him, and he's turned around, and he's got a gun as well. He's running from me. He's got a gun. He comes back, and I've gone, and he's going to shoot me then at close range. So I have
Clearly.
to make sure that doesn't happen. So I've had to double down and say, I swear to God, I'll shoot you again. I'll shoot you again. Far out.
And then Lockie got into show business,
Yeah.
but isn't anymore.
Oh, well, he makes it. So he's now working on a new show for 7, but producing. So he's probably the smartest.
I thought he was in real estate for some reason.
He does real estate as well.
Oh.
So it's that whole slash,
Everyone's a
slash,
slashy.
slash. We have to be.
Yeah.
You honestly have to be.
How did you start writing children's books?
That's funny.
Of which you've written 27, your latest
27.
of which is What You're Building.
Yeah. That could be the best one, the best picture book. I met a publisher. I did that thing, when you meet an athlete or something, you go, oh, yeah, I'd like to run. I'd like to play footy for Melbourne. That said, I'd like to write.
I don't know a lot about that.
You
but-
wouldn't meet a Swift and say a netballer when you were 13 and go, I'd like to play for the Swifts.
No.
No, okay. You would meet a movie star. I'd like to be an actor.
No, none of those things.
Oh, okay. So should we
But
keep
maybe
going
'cause
until
I'm-
we
well,
find
'cause
some?
I'm not a slashy, maybe that's why.
Yeah, rightio.
But
Well,
so,
you would have met a magazine editor and gone, I want to be a.
Yeah, no, you're right. And of course, you meet someone and
So-
go, yeah, I'd like to write a book.
Yeah,
For
so
sure,
we would
I
have
get
been
that.
similar age. It's probably maybe when you started thinking about. I used to write Jackie letters from New York, and she said you should be a writer. I went, really? Do you think
Should
so?
I? Tell me
should I
more.
now? And so I met a publisher and said I want to write, and he goes, I'd like you to write, and I wrote something. Eventually, it was awful. He said it was awful. He said write about things that you did in grade 6 for boys. So I wrote a book of short stories.
So you knew you wanted to write for kids. Were you already a father at this stage?
No, he was a children's author. He was a children's publisher.
Oh, okay.
So he was. So I think that's just how it happened.
And you didn't have kids yet?
No, I was about to have one, and I thought about my grandfather, and he'd say to him, what did you do? And he goes, I worked for ICI or whatever it was, and but there was nothing. There's nothing to show for. I mean, there's a house and a family and all that stuff, but there was no physical evidence.
Here's
of,
what I make.
Yeah, here's the thing. It was business. Same as Dad. Business. What do you do? Business. But what do you do at business? Business things. So I thought it'd be nice to have something to be able to show someone, and so wrote one book that went well. Had to go through the whole celebrity author thing. Oh, just because you're a celebrity, you think you can write? Yeah. Yeah, okay.
Because they mostly just do one and then they stop.
Yeah.
But you kept going.
I kept going, and I love it. And so I finally wrote the novel I wanted to write for 10 years last year, for young men, sort of 16-year-old men. And then
Remind me what that was called.
I was called One Step.
It's fantastic.
So that's like a launch into the oblivion. Just it's a normal boy going and just reading things incorrectly. Like bad things or sad things, but just letting them stack up on him, and then to get to the point where he just can't cope, or he doesn't know how to cope anymore. His dad's a dickhead, his mum's lost, everyone. It's just life. It's normal life. Like I'm sure you can look back.
It's a lost boy story.
It is, but I'm sure you would look back and see moments of your teenagerdom, and if you had have chosen one way, not the other way, you would have you could have got yourself into some serious. And seriously bad positions. So that's what the story is basically about. And then I had to write a second one because it's a 2-book deal. I'm going, shit.
It's the worst.
It's the worst. But it turned out to be the best because I said to Bibby, my middle girl, I said, I've got to write this book. She said, write something to make me cry. So give me something that's sad. Dad, do
Teenage
a sad
girls
book.
Love
I know.
to cry.
So anyway,
When's that coming out?
that'll be in July next year, I think.
What's it called?
That's Oxygen. So it's a love story, which is great,
Oh.
it was every single sentence was hard. I know that sounds ridiculous, but I'd
No, I
finish a
understand.
page and go, yes.
Yeah, right. So it didn't flow.
No, but it reads well now.
Yeah.
Far out, it was hard work. But it was good. And it's sort of, again, like an overachieving boy and a normal sort of girl, and they fall in love. And it was fun to, like all that stuff. And I wanted them to have sex. And I was thinking, far out, do I make that? Do I give them my first sexual encounter, which was awful? Do I do it that way? And I'm thinking about it going,
Same.
oh, God, And then I said to Bibby, what do I said, I want to write this sex scene. So imagine saying that to your 16-year-old or your 15-year-old. She's going, Dad.
And what did she say?
Dad. And she goes, yeah. And I went, well, I don't know what to. And she went off, got some other book and said, here, read this. Just read from there, read from all together to the end of the chapter, 4 pages or something.
Yeah.
Read it, went, okay, thank you. So then I worked out how to do it. Or I worked out a different way to do it.
Yeah.
So it was good.
How's it different raising or having a teenage boy versus having a teenage girl? You did the boy first.
Did the boy first. Well, I think the boys. Well, the main lesson for the boy, for Felix, the boy. Main lesson for Felix is to respect everyone and to especially respect women, and in all ways, right? So if there's a hint that someone says no. For all people, say no is no, and for girls especially, no is definitely no. Like, be totally clear with whatever you're doing that this is acceptable behaviour for whatever's happening. Number one. So then for the girls, it's the same thing, so that the people they're with understand that no means no, that to be respectful and to look after yourself.
Do you worry more about your daughters?
I know, I don't think I do. Oh, like from a safety point of view, they were going to a party the other night. 2 of them were and they're catching a bus and they had to walk from I don't know, half a K, and Jackie's going, I'll go and pick them up. I said, for God's sake, just let them walk. They'll be fine. We're not living in a bad place. We're living in it's a fairly safe part of Sydney. They'll be fine. Let them live. Like, you can't wrap them up.
So you're not helicopter?
Oh, God. Well, I hope
or lawnmower?
Not. Yeah, I like the lawnmower one.
Yeah, clearing the obstacles. I thought that was really interesting when you talked about that on TGM.
Yeah. No, look, try not to be. There's some moments, like, there must be some moments, but I think they've got to find their own way and make their own mistake. So, look, the main thing is, when they make a mistake, they can always come back and go, here's what I did. So, for instance, with talking to Bibby, who's in year 10, I said, what drugs are kids taking at parties? And she's like, well, heaps of guys are smoking dope. There's a few caps turning up.
MDMA.
So what are caps?
I know. I learned that too.
And she goes, there's a bit of coke. And I said, you're kidding me. Like, this is year 10. But that's the reality. So, and given I've never done chemical drugs...
Really?
Like, I've literally never... I don't even know if I've seen cocaine. I think I was at a party...
Really?
Yeah, I'm serious.
You worked at MTV in America.
I know. I didn't go there. I didn't go to the parties. I just did the job. That's what I'm serious. Like, I literally just did the job, went home.
Never tempted?
No, well, it just wasn't my bag.
Literally
wasn't my bag. And so I've said to her the other day, I said, look, you have to make the decision as to what you're going to do or not going to do, but just understand... Even the bad decisions, you can still ring and this is over and over and over again. So at some point, the message will fall, and the kids will do something that will be stupid, and they will go, "Oh, okay, I'm going to need some help now," and it'll be fine. I said, "You might get in trouble, you might not."
How do you stay close to your kids during those teenage years when they're really trying to push you away and, trying to push boundaries and put up barriers between you and them? How do you keep communication open?
They're not that bad. They're not bad.
But most teenagers do pull away in those years.
Oh, yeah. So you let them, like, if they want to, let them have a go. You don't try and stop them from doing everything. I don't don't hover over them at the same time. Just talk to them, I suppose. Make them go, right, turn it off, go for a walk. Oh, Dad, I just want to watch it. No, we're going for a walk. And they always feel better. Put your bathers on, we're swimming. It's the middle of winter. bathers on, West. That's the sort of father I am. Put your bathers on. I don't care if we're going for a swim. I'm going for a swim. You're coming for a swim. Oh.
So do stuff with them.
Do stuff. Normal stuff. Not special stuff. I mean, do special things as well, but the normal things inevitably become
going for a swim.
Special things. Go for a surf. You know.
You're quite not strict is the wrong word, but you've got strong feelings about screens. Always have, even TV, right?
Yeah, but that would have been Jackie. We grew up watching stacks of television. Jackie, she's the one who said no television. So that was absolutely her. So we'd sit there and have to read books, and then if there's no books, then the kids would know that they can read books by themselves. So they'd go outside, and we had a small backyard, and they could just, we still got a small backyard, just play out there and be fine. They'd be fine. What's going to happen? But it's better than sitting there watching telly, which is just annoying. Like,
but do you feel different?
Hot potato, like drive you mental.
Oh,
like seriously,
the Wiggles, you mean? Yeah.
Send you. I mean, they're great. That's the yellow one's Jackie's cousin. Like, it's family.
Is that the girl one?
Yeah. No. This is the first Wiggles.
Oh, the
Greg Page. So that's literally her second cousin. So, but to have that on all the time as a parent would drive you nuts, and doesn't really do that much for the kids either, because as soon as the telly goes off, this is the whole thing. The minute the screen goes off, they go, what now? Now I'm bored. If they get taught to be bored in the beginning, they'll deal with being bored. How about that?
Is that your best bit of parenting advice?
Yeah, but our kids have phones. Like, it's not perfect. But for young kids, that's the best bit of... And
let them get bored.
Get bored.
I used to panic when my kids said that they were bored, like that I was somehow failing in my job as a parent. And then I realised that it was actually doing them a favour to get bored.
Yeah, we had our most fun when we were bored, when we were kids. Oh, it's a great idea. Let's cover ourselves in tomato sauce and put our bikes on top of us by the side of the main road and see what happens. So we did, and in this car, like this, and we get... Comes, you okay? And we ride off laughing our heads off. And they chase us going, you idiots! You idiots!
Kids don't do that anymore. They don't do that anymore.
It's hilarious.
They should.
It's hilarious. Chuck out. Make things. How good is chuck out? Hard rubbish.
Chuck out.
No, I'm serious.
I agree.
I love it.
Hard rubbish, you call it.
Hard rubbish days. Yes.
The things you can find on a hard rubbish day.
And turn it into something else. It's just, that's it. For me, you want to make me happy? Give me a fishing rod. Give me a hard rubbish day every third week. A drill, a saw, power tools. I'm pretty simple.
Such a bloke.
But I want them to be simple as well. So, for instance, Jazzy, our 13-year-old, she goes, Dad, I need a new surfboard. When are we making it?
What? Making it?
When are we making our...
Wow.
We make our own surfboards.
Of course
That's us. Of course, but she goes, and I said, do you want to shape it? She goes, yeah, of course. We'll get Felix to help, and then you and I will glass it. I'm going, oh, my God, I love you so much.
My work here is done.
Oh, my God. How good is that?
So now Cameron's back. Lockie lives in Sydney. Do you ever get together the whole family now? Like all five of the siblings and all your families with your parents?
Well, that's rare. That's got to be in Melbourne. Mm-hmm. Although Jamie did come up for something not that long ago.
When was the last time you were all together?
Christmas.
Not that long ago.
2 Christmases ago.
And what's that like? What's the dynamic like?
Oh, it's
with
good.
all
It's
of you
interesting.
now?
I'd actually like to go for a holiday with just the siblings, all of us, and no partners. I think that would be great. I really think that would be great. I don't think it would happen. Don't know why it wouldn't happen. Because you'd sort a lot of stuff out that way. Because if you've got a safe place to go back to your partner and go, and then he said such, like it does.
So true.
It's just shit, right? So, so I think as a family unit, and that's nothing against any partner. All the partners are very supportive and possibly too supportive.
But it's a very different dynamic. So we've started having these semi-regular core family dinners with my parents and me and my brother. No partners, no kids.
Oh, hang on. So was it sort of, let's have core family dinners?
Yeah, I can't remember there was something that we had to discuss. And we did it, and it was like the dynamic was so different without our kids around, without our partners around. I don't know. It's just very
It's like the
freeing
olden
in a way.
days.
Yeah.
It's like the olden days.
Yeah.
So what's wrong with looking backwards?
Nothing.
Nothing. I mean, seriously, what's wrong with looking... Everyone go, oh, you're rose-coloured. What's wrong with looking back and seeing what good things there were in the past? It
Look, I
doesn't deny
suppose
the
because
future.
there were also some shitty things in the past.
Yeah, of course.
You know, Richard Glover always says that people say, oh, free-range parenting and it was so great. And he says that, you know, bad stuff happened. Like kids were abused and they had no relationships with adults who would believe them, and parents were a bit neglectful, and some kids slipped through the cracks. I mean, you and I weren't those kids, but other kids did.
Yeah.
So not everything was better then than it is now.
No, I'm not saying everything is better then. I'm saying it's good to look back and find the positive things and relive those things.
Yeah.
And to continue to move. I mean, we can't not have mobile phones. It's never going to happen. So, but it's still okay to look back and go, oh, that was pretty good. And then why don't we put them down for a day? A day.
I find that when I punish my kids and they're on no screens, that's pretty much the only time they'll play together.
Yeah.
Because they have to.
Yeah.
Exactly what you said. Because they're bored, it's like they are each other's last resort.
Yeah, it's like when you
and
go,
they'll have a great time.
Yeah, or you have family holidays and you go, and it's just you and your kids or whatever, and your siblings actually play together because there's no one else to play with, and they have a really good time. And they come home and go, such a dickhead. God, you shit me. They don't. We're pretty lucky. I touch wood. Our kids are pretty good.
Thanks for listening to No Filter with Daddo. If you know a Daddo and you'd like me to interview them, drop me an email at podcast@mamamia.com.au. I think it's time probably to move on to the next generation of Daddos. That could fill a year's worth of podcasts. I think there are hundreds of them. You can buy any of Andrew's books, which I highly recommend you do. His children's books are fantastic, and his young adult fiction is also really, really great. You can find them at apple.co/mamamia, which is where it's like a little Mamma Mia bookstore where you can find all of the books that we mention on all of our podcasts. You can listen to Daddo, as we affectionately call him here at Mamma Mia, because we only have one Daddo in our life day to day, on This Glorious Mess by downloading the Mamma Mia podcast app. Subscribe to No Filter or This Glorious Mess in iTunes. Leave us a 5-star rating. We like reading them. Be kind. Choose kind. We really do. So also it helps people find out about the show. That's how the iTunes algorithm works. If you want to suggest another Daddo, I've already told you that. Today's show was produced by Eliza Ratliff for the Mamma Mia Women's Network, and the director of podcasts is Rachel Corbett. You can also find our podcast on Spotify. Come find me on Instagram or on Facebook. So many instructions.